Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Friday weekly Ask Me Any Stock session. If you guys can see and hear me loud and clear, you can see the screen as well. Just type a GM for good morning. Let me just acknowledge all of those few who are early today. Let's see who is here joining us. Okay, good morning. We have Josephine. Hi, Alex. Hi, good to see you here as well. Vincent. Hi, good morning, ST. Glorio. Hi, Andy as well. Good morning. Good morning. Good to see you guys here. Welcome to our Friday weekly AMAS, which stands for Ask Me Any Stock session. Hi, good morning, Evelyn. Hi, Dave, Jeannie, Victor. Awesome. Hi, Jean as well. John. Victor C, Marcus, a lot of familiar names. I think you've been joining us week after week. Welcome to this session, guys. And today we'll be talking about the US market. So those of you who have been joining us weekly, right, since like the beginning of the year, what happens is that every alternate week, so this week will be US, last week it was Singapore, all right, next week will be Singapore again, now today is US. So every alternate, right, Singapore, US, and that's what we pretty much cover, all right, those stocks that you are asking about. And at the end, all right, we will share 3 stocks that we like. So today is US, right? So we'll share at the end 3 of the US stocks that we like. We saw some pretty good bullish signals, right, on my indicator, on my strategy. It looks pretty good, right? You want to put in your watch list as well. And that's what will happen at the end, all right? So would it be okay if you guys help us to like and share, all right, like and share this live show right now? They can help us to reach out to more people, or maybe just help us to hit the heart-shaped button. I think there's a heart-shaped button at the bottom. Thank you so much to those of you who are hitting the heart-shaped button or the smiling face, all right? Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Like and share, all right, so that when we go live in the future, you will not miss out. You'll receive like a notification, or there should be like a notification icon, a bell as well. Hit on that, and that's where you will be notified when we go live. All right. Okay, so I've missed like the last 2 sessions because I was traveling. It's like the school holidays. I was in Korea for a short trip. I think my team played a short video as well. All right, but yeah, I'm back today, and let's get started. All right, we'll do a quick market outlook. We'll dive into the US stocks that you guys are asking about, and 3 US stocks at the end. All right. Hi, good morning as well, Sichuan. All right. Good morning, Colleen as well. Good to see you here. All right. So just a quick run through, all right, of who is with me today, right, and my team who actually has been conducting or running the show, right, in the last 2 sessions when I was away, right, and we have Bervyn with me as well today, one of the top brokers under me in Philips Securities, 4 to 5 years under me already, all right, and he's also helping with our, group coaching sessions, our one-on-one sessions, our mentees, even assisting our team's portfolio manager as well. And Bervyn, who is here with me as well, is what we call a chartered financial analyst, right? In short, it's CFA, all right? One of the highest qualification one can ever get in the banking and finance sector, all right? So very, very professional, all right, in terms of his analysis, not just the technicals, but also on the fundamentals, right? So Bervyn, maybe just say a few words today on how we can add value.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thanks, Joey, for the introduction. Welcome back, everyone. I think quite a few familiar names that we see. Actually, really happy to see everyone joining us on Friday morning to talk about a little bit on the US market, get a little bit on the insights as well. So I hope today, we are in the middle of June already. Hopefully, upcoming, there's a few economic data is coming out. I think the FOMC meeting is also coming up. So we want to be a little bit more cautious, a little bit more aware of what is the market going forward, or what's the direction going forward. So without further ado, I'll pass the time back to Joey.
All right, thank you so much, Bervyn. All right, so I have Zee with me as well. Zee, who has been running the live show as well over the past 2 weeks while I was away with Bervyn. And Zee is one of the top brokers, all right, remisers under me in Philips Securities, have been with me for more than 4 to 5 years now, running our group coaching, our one-on-one sessions, our mentees. And Zee is what we call an expert in anything charts, right? In anything technical analysis, candlestick, price action, patterns, whatever you name it, right? She's an expert. Of course, she's very well versed in the entire one good trend strategy as well. She is what we call a CMT chartered holder, right? So Zee, maybe just share a few things about yourself.
All right, thanks Joey for the introduction. Hi everyone, my name is Zee. Like what Joey said, a big fan of charts, trends, and basically making technical analysis simple and actionable for you guys, right? So I've been with Joey's team for about since 2020, right? And recently, in last year 2024, earned my CMT chartered holder. And very often you will see us using the 1GP Pro indicator, which later you will see as well. And this is actually one of my go-to for spotting strong trending stocks without the noise. So without further ado, I'll pass the time back over to Joey to actually start today's session.
All right, let's get started, right? So just a quick disclaimer, guys, whatever that is being shared today, like we have to share every single time we go live, right? Disclaimer, it is just for education and information purposes only. So please do your own due diligence, right? It's really not to ask you to buy or sell anything or force you not to buy or not to sell, all right? Pretty much you do a bit of homework, all right? And just for us to share a bit of an opinion, so we hope you get value out of this entire live session. All right. Okay, so let's get started right now. We'll do a quick, what we call market outlook, a quick market outlook. How many of you want me to just cover the market so you're a little bit clearer of where we are right now? Just type M for market, guys. If you want me to quickly cover what we call the market and see what has happened over the past over month, right? Are we looking bearish? Can we push even higher? Is it going to be a bull market, or maybe you want to sell everything because we're going to come back down, right? What's happening, right? Just type M for market. Let me know how many of you want to know about the market before we talk about the US stocks. M for market. Let's see. All right. John M, Flim as well. M, Bat Guan M, Sichua M, John as well. M. Okay, very good. I think let's just cover a little bit of the market, right? Just kind of like a summary of what has happened over the past few weeks. All right, let's see. We have Mahison as well. Okay, very good. So I'll talk about the S&P 500 index and maybe just a quick one on the Dow Jones in a bit, right? So you can see S&P 500 index right over here. And if you can see that, I really turned on my One Good Trend Pro indicator. So I have this indicator, right, which is the base on my One Good Trend strategy, right? So today, guys, I don't have time to cover the whole strategy and the whole mindset and everything, right? But if you want to find out a bit more, as I say, we do have one last final webinar, all right? Like next Tuesday. Then the next one will be like 2 or 3 months away, right? So one last final webinar next Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. All right, team, can you just place the link in the chat? All right, so go to check it out if you want to find a bit more on the entire strategy of perhaps how you could have a tool like this that just makes getting in and out so easy. You don't have to second guess and then let all the emotions affect you. Check out Attend Models Free webinars. The link is in the chat, right? That's where I will share a bit more. Today is just about your stocks, right? That's it, right? Okay, let's move on. So this is the One Good Trend Pro indicator. You can see at the back, right? I have actually turned it on just now. Let me just off it. Let me turn it on again. And there we go, right? Any asset classes, any stocks, even the markets. Well, turn it on in a matter of seconds. Take a look at the bullish and bearish signals and get an opinion, right? I mean, if you see a bearish signal, a red one, then, be a bit more patient, don't go and rush to buy. But if you see a bullish green signal, all right, and that's where I can guide you to maybe be a bit more confident in that trade, all right, get more conviction in your getting in or time your entry to position yourself to ride the reversal or maybe even more upside, all right? So this is the market. And you can see, right, I've turned it on. I'll not go too far, but I mean, every time we get a bullish signal, a green bullish signal, a green bullish signal, and there we go, right? We started to push all the way up because when you get a bearish one, it comes down a bit, right? Another bearish one comes down, and somewhere in like February, I talk about this, right? In February, even before the whole April, tariffs, when Trump introduced the sweeping tariffs, right? Reciprocal tariffs, right? This was in February, right? We actually got not one, but two bearish signals in the entire market, the S&P 500 index. And we have sold off. I mean, you can see, right? We have two bearish signals. It starts coming down from 6,000 to all the way to 5,000. All right. And we started to see a bit of a bottom and a push back up. And finally, we got a new. So I think in our previous live show, we talked about this bullish signal that came out somewhere around end of April. Not last week, guys, quite long ago already. End of April, 29 April to be exact, right? When it went above the 5,004, 5,005 resistance, right? And of course, we started to see the short-term trend, all right, the green 20 days moving average line turn up as well as another confirmation. And there we go, right? The reversal has already started. Not already, I mean, quite long ago, more than a month back already, all right? We talked about it, it's already started, all right? It's ongoing. Now the question is how high can it go, all right, before we see a bit of selling, before maybe we break through a key level and then possibly pushing even higher, all right? Let's find out what is that resistance level. So let me just go to remove all the drawings right now. So this is the market, the S&P 500 index. So I can draw this resistance right over here, right? What we call the horizontal resistance. So that was pretty much where we were since like December. Look at this, right? Nearly came down, and we couldn't get above the 6150. All right. So that is a very key level, I would say, right? If you're near the 6150, like I mean, look at this, right? From here to here, over here, here, and now, I mean, we are not near yet, but about to be near there, right? So once we are near 6150, I think the market will see a bit of a selling, right? Some selling pressure comes back, like what we've seen previously from December all the way to March before the heavy sell down, all right? So I think that will be a very key level to watch. Well, when we hit to that level, doesn't mean we're like, touch that and then come all the way back down. No, right? I mean, it just means that we could see some selling there, right? Might consolidate below that level. But the key here is that, if we can break the 6150 or maybe even the 6,002, I think that is where it will spark off a whole new momentum in the market. I think the news articles start to come out, analysts will start to cover, you see news headlines, S&P breaking 6,002, blah, 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 and then you will create a lot of upside hype and momentum, right? And that is where we could potentially see the next wave of the upside, right? Anything above 6150 to 6,002, I think that is where it could be even more bullish, right? And that will happen, I would say, when there's some certainty or some positive news coming out in terms of the tariffs, in terms of the US and China trade tensions reaching a deal. So I think all of you know, right, over the past few days, US and China officials have been meeting in London, right, discussing about trade deals. And of course, there's some progress compared to in April when Trump, announced the reciprocal tariffs, and it kind of like, escalated into a tit-for-tat tariff war, right? 145%, and then, on China goods into the US, and China, of course, hike up as well to 125%, right? It's ridiculous, right? It's unsustainable. So at least now they're both taking a softer approach, and they're, meeting, all right? I mean, over the past few days, they're meeting. It still requires approval from Trump and Xi Jinping, all right? But at least it's getting a little bit more progressive. I mean, it's kind of like moving forward, right? Less aggressive than when Trump actually announced in April, right? So that could be a good thing. I think when all this is settled down, that could be a kicker, all right, for the market, right, to be even more bullish. All right, so that is a very key level for the S&P 500 index. So now we are like 6045. You can see, right? I mean, the green 20 days moving average line is going up. We got a bullish signal. Do we get any bearish signal coming out? I mean, no, right? It hasn't come out yet. I mean, of course, when it comes out, great, right? Then you can, probably take some profit, get up, because we might see a bit of a weakness. But so far, it looks pretty good. If you can break 6150, I think more upside could be even possible as well. All right, so that is the S&P 500 index. Let's take a look at the Dow Jones, right? The Dow Jones very quickly. Let me just pull up the Dow Jones. So Dow Jones is one of the very popular index. You can see there very quickly, a couple of bullish and bearish signals. Don't go too far, but you can see same thing. Every time we got a bullish signal that was in August, all the way up. Every time a bearish signal comes out, we start hitting down in the short term, right? Another bearish signal that was in February, same thing. We went all the way down, found a bottom in April tariffs. Bullish signal that came out somewhere in 12th of May, not too bad. All right, started to push up a little bit. I think we're starting to see a bit of a reversal so far. Now it's like 42,967. All right, I think resistance wise, I talk about it, that very key level, right? 45,000. So if you're kind of like trading the index or buying what we call the ETF, the exchange traded fund that tracks the Dow Jones or maybe even the S&P 500, right? The SPY. Right? That's where you could look at the market like that, right? So if you got those who just want to buy the market and time your entry in and out, you could buy what we call the ETF. All right. So you can see this is Dow Jones, right? We are 42,967, very near 43. If you can break 43, maybe let me draw another resistance here. All right, right over here. You can see, right, over the past few weeks, seems like 43. Right, look at this, right? A bit of a pullback. All right, even last week touch came down. Yesterday night also touch came down. Right, so I think 43,000 is a very near-term resistance. We are like 42,967, which is like, about 30 points away from the 43,000. But if that 43 were to give way, I think good, potentially all the way back to 45,000. So we had a bullish signal. The short-term trend is up. We just need to get past the 43,000 psychological resistance level for the Dow Jones. All right, so that is pretty much the markets, right? That's pretty much markets. And let's go ahead to move on very quickly, guys, to the US stocks that you guys are asking about, right? Pretty much the name of this show, right? So those of you who have just been joining us, I mean, you're just scrolling through YouTube, and we are live on Facebook as well, all right? And you have no idea why you are, why you're here. Well, if you are anything to do with the US market, right? You have bought some US stocks, invested in it 5 years ago, 2 years ago. Well, then you're in the right place. In this session, pretty much the name of it is called Ask Me Any Stocks, right? Ask Me Any US stocks. So if you are trading the US market, any US stocks you want a quick opinion on, you're in the right place. Now go ahead to type the name of the US stocks that you want a quick opinion on. All right, so very simple, guys. Right, we will give a little bit more priority for those of you who give us a little bit of understanding of the stocks, right? So give us a bit of context. For example, let's say you type the words like Microsoft or Apple. I mean, like, what do you want to know about Apple or Microsoft, right? So give us a bit of context. Like, are you looking to buy? Are you looking to sell? Maybe you bought it last week or last week or 5 years ago. All right, so give us a bit of context so that when we analyze, we it's a bit of a understanding, like what are you trying to do right over here, right? So you're thinking about buying, and then we see, hey, maybe you should wait, then we'll let you know, but we don't know whether you want to buy or sell, right? Or you want to do nothing, right? So let us know, so we get a bit of context, and that's where we will prioritize and put your stocks up, and we'll go ahead to analyze live from the one good trend strategy, right, that I've been using, right, for more than a decade now. As I say, attend one of those free webinars to find out a bit more, right? The link is right above just now, right? Okay, let's see. I'll just go ahead to choose right now. So I'll go first. All right, how it works is this, guys, round robin style. I'll go first. I'll just put in the chat. Just put your stock up on the screen, and then I'll just go to analyze. I'll pass the mic on to Bervyn and then to Zee, and then they'll be back to me. Right. So one by one, we'll try to cover at least 15, 18 stocks. Right, we'll do our best. All right, we'll do our best. Okay, let's see who is. Okay, let me see what stocks we have today, right? Okay, Phyllis Lay, all right, C3AI. At what price can I enable C3AI? No idea what stock is this. All right, let's see, C3AI. Can I have the stock name? What's the C3AI, or is that a code? Or C3? Oh, okay, C3.AI. I think that would be the one, right? C3.AI. The code name is AI lah. Okay, very good. Let's take a look. Okay, so Phyllis, you're asking about this stock, right? C3.AI. All right, the code is AI. I think probably one of the AI plays. Let's take a look here, right? Very quickly, I have already turned on the bullish and bearish signals from the 1GT Pro indicator. Just turn it off again, and let's take a look at it, right? So how it works is this, right? Based on this 1GT Pro indicator, we can turn it on and we get an opinion in seconds, right? And we want to always think about buying from my one good trend strategy, right? We want to think about buying when the longer term trend is up. We want to see, like, some sort of very strong trend, higher lows, higher highs in the longer term, and then we think about buying. And same thing, we want to see the short term trend also up as well, right? And you can see that this is for C3AI. Well, I would say that the longer term, looking at the red and the blue line, we have not really been in an uptrend. I would say the longer term trend is sideways. Just by looking at the red line and the blue line, you see they're both like up a bit, down a bit, and like moving sideways. The blue line, the red line also is like crossing one another, going up, going down. All right, slightly down to sideways for now in terms of the longer term trend. All right. In terms of the short-term trend, well, we can take a look at the green 20 days moving average line. That was down from December, down, December, all the way until May. Started to push up a little bit, all right, somewhere around May and June in terms of the short-term trend. So now let's take a look at the 1GT Pro indicator. Let's turn it on and let's see what it says, right? So this is C3.AI. So you can see, right, I'll not go too far, but every time we got a bullish signal. So look at this, right? We got a bullish signal. So bearish. Green line points down. You want to be patient, all right? We got a bullish signal. The green 20 days moving average line, the short-term trend turn up. And there we go, all the way up. A bearish signal, short-term trend turn down. Down we go. And of course, we got what, 1, 2, 3 bullish signal. And we started pushing up from here. All right, all the way up to here. 57% in about 3 months, not too bad. But then we got bearish coming out. Look at this, right? January, bearish, came down even faster, right? So not so good lah. You ask me, in like December, January, February, don't go and buy lah. I mean, we got bearish signal. But let's take a look at what is happening right now. Well, we got a few 1, 2, 3, 4 bullish signals coming out. So it's starting to push a little bit higher. But I would say that this stock is a little bit more volatile. It's a little bit more volatile, all right? And we got 4 bullish signals. Maybe if I can draw for you, we would see maybe a bit of support around this level. I can turn on the trailing support level somewhere around that 22 to 24. So 22 will be like what we call the trailing support that allows the stock to move higher, hopefully, to give it space to breathe. So there's some space below, like for example, over here, right? You can see that as we move up, we got this trailing support that follows the stock as it moves up. We give it space to breathe and hopefully move higher. But if you're to go below the trailing support, are not so good. That's where we got a bearish signal, all right, all the way down, right? So same thing now, we got a trailing support popping up. All right, right over here, the green 20 days moving average line has turned up slightly. So it looks a bit more bullish than if you ask me in January, February, March, I would say a little bit more bullish. But we probably need a bit more confirmation because you can see, right, $30. Let me just show it for you, right? $30 would be okay. Let me just remove the trailing, I would say, support and resistance. So you can see, right, quite clearly, this $30, which was where we were last week, we touched it. I mean, it was a support, right? It was a support. We broke down and becomes a resistance level right now. So now it's 24, right? So I think maybe a bit of support coming in, a horizontal support near that 24, right? 24, slight support. Hopefully we can stay above it for a while. Consolidate a little bit. All right, the green line starts to point back up. It's starting to go sideways a little bit, right? So if the green line, the 20 days moving average line can just point up slightly, it means they're good. At least some short-term trend is coming back from a bit of a sideways consolidation, and if you can, potential reversal could be from 24 all the way back up to 30. Of course, if 30 were to give way, we break above 30, we go to 31, 32. That is where potentially we may even see a new bullish signal. Targets could be revised even higher. So I think right now it looks definitely more bullish than 4 or 5 months ago, but we still need a bit more confirmation because the short-term trend, we want it to just turn back up a bit. All right, so that is C3.ai, a bit more speculative kind of stock, right? But that's the first stock I covered today. Let me pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover the next US stock. Bervyn, all yours?
Thanks, Joey. Okay, let's see what stock do we want to cover this morning. Okay, I think Al Hazy is asking, Adobe has gone up slightly. Do you think there's an opportunity to enter at the current price? Let me just throw it up on the screen. All right, so right here on the screen, we have Adobe Inc. I think in the past year or so, about more than a year, we have actually seen prices form what we call lower highs. So that is actually not a good sign for the counter actually, because prices are actually going lower and lower and buyers are not coming in pretty much at those key levels to actually take control. That is why we also see a few 1GT bearish signals that had appeared previously. One bearish signal, prices fell. Another bearish signal, prices fell again. But I think the most recent one, we had a 1GT bullish signal that actually came up as prices broke above that 380 level. The 380 is now a support level. But I think right now prices are pretty much being kept under that 420 to about 425 resistance level. LHZ, I think right now is still not able to break above it. But if we look at the longer term trend, we actually see that the 200 days moving average and the 100 days moving average are still slightly pointing down. All right, slightly pointing down, although we have that 20 days moving average starting to point up a little bit of mixed signals right there. So in this case, we usually tend to not want to trade against the longer term trend, because right now prices are very, very close to the resistance level where actually sellers could actually come back in as well. So I think they have also just announced their earnings. I haven't looked into it, but it looks like not much movements. But I think if prices were to be able to break above that 425 and hold above that level, I think maybe that's when we can see that 200 days moving average start to flatten out, that 100 days moving average start to point up a little bit more. I think that is when there could be a potential reversal in the trend, in the longer term trend to be specific. And then, yes, I would say then you can consider an opportunity to get in, because by then you will have the 20 days moving average already starting to point up, that 100 days, 200 days moving average starting to point up as well, and a key support level being held at the same time. So I think if that 420 level is able to hold, I think upside towards that 470 to perhaps even that 480 level could be the next target to actually watch out for. So if the prices are able to break above that 420, we could also have another 1GT bullish signal, coming out right here. I think that is a good sign that, buyers are coming back, people are keen to accumulate again. But if prices fall, Okay, prices continue to fall, right? We talk about the upside. Now let's protect our downside as well. Prices start to fall below that 380 support level again. Then the next support would be placed, or I would place it about that 340 level. So if you're looking to get in, if prices break above that 420 level, do have a plan as well. Do not want to just get in, because overall it seems like weakness can come in very, very quickly, and prices can fall very quickly as well. Do not want to be stuck at the same time. So I think just wait for a little bit longer, place some alerts above that 420 level by just right clicking, and alert you are able to maybe put it at 425 to indicate like a firm breakout above that 420 level. And then yes, we can monitor from there to see if there's any new signals or any further confirmation of a longer term trend reversal. All right, okay, so that's a very quick one for Adobe. I'll pass the time now to Z to cover the next stock for you.
All right, thank you, Bervyn. Okay, so the next stock that I'll be covering, right, I think it will be Hood. So VO is actually asking, I think, about two stocks, Sophie and Robinhood, right? So maybe I'll just cover Robinhood first. So you're saying Robinhood sold with a profit a bit early, but what does the TA says, right? Okay, so let me just share my screen. Okay, so this is how Robinhood is actually looking on the chart, right? So first glance, if we look at the trend itself, which with the moving averages, it is a very pretty stock, right? It all are pointing up. Red, green, and blue line all are actually heading up. And very recently, we do see a 1GT bullish signal on 25th of April, right? And at this point in time, we do not see any 1GT bearish signal or any exit signal yet, right? So the thing is that when we are looking at trend, we are thinking about buying, right? We want to like what Joey actually mentioned earlier on, you want to think about buying when the stock is in an uptrend. So in this case for Robinhood, definitely uptrend is intact, right? Based on the moving averages. And very recently, we can see that price actually broke above this level, which is the 68 right over here, right? This level, it was actually what we call a resistance, right? Resistance, because this was where somewhere in February, we actually saw selling pressure come back in, right? And push the price all the way back down to about the $30 level. And this is also where we saw a 1GT bearish signal coming out, and subsequently we also have two more 1GT bearish signal. So bearish signal, to repeat again, once we see a bearish signal, it doesn't mean that we should sell immediately or the stock will actually crash, right? It just means that there is more selling pressure returning to this stock. But at this point in time, yeah, we do not see any 1GT bearish signal, right? And so this back to this level 68 level, right? So this was a resistance level, and now price is actually trading above this 68. So this 68 has turned to become what we call a support level, right? A support level. So I don't know, Vio, I don't know if you are actually thinking about re-entering this stock again, because you mentioned that you sold. I'm not sure if you are still holding on to partial of this stock. But if you're thinking about re-entering this stock, right, this is where potentially near the support level, that's where we can position ourselves for entry, right? And in terms of targets wise, I would say the immediate target level definitely will be at this $80 level, right? This would be one of the psychological level that we're actually looking at, right? Because we see that over the past couple of weeks, prices actually near the $80, but is unable to break, right? And we are seeing long upper shadows, which means that sellers and selling pressure are actually ready to actually sell near the $80, right? So I would say $80 would be the immediate target that we are looking at. And if we were to base off a projection upwards, right, the next target that we are looking at could be around 90 if prices is actually able to hold and break above the $80. But of course, if prices were to actually consolidate first before pushing even higher, that would be even better, right, to make the uptrend more sustainable. Okay, so that would be a very quick one for Hood. So just take note of some of the levels that's mentioned. 68 will be the support and immediate resistance around 80. Okay, so that would be for Robinhood. I'll pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. Let's move on to the next stock, and I will move on to this stock that I think Profu, you're asking about it, right? Can we review Oracle shares? Like Oracle, ORCL. This is it right over here on my screen. I think yesterday night was covered quite strongly as well. It spiked up, I think more than 10-14%, all right, due to some really strong results that were announced. Right, very strong demand from AI. I think Oracle is the one to benefit, right? So let's take a look. Right now, it is $199. So not go too far, but you can see, right, I've turned on very quickly the 1GD Pro indicator, and as I say, right, very quickly, it guides you on what to do, right? When you see bullish, bullish, and that was in like August. You can see we really started to push up all the way, right? 33% in about 4 months, right? And when you see a bearish signal, you get out, you take some profit, it starts coming back down, right? 2 bearish signals in January, March, it starts coming back down, right? So you guys need to get out, not just about buying and then keeping all the way forever, don't know what to do, but to get out when the time is right? When there's some selling, when there's signs of the trend turning back down in the short term, you want to get out. So let's just fast forward to what has happened over the past few weeks. So since May, I would say like 2nd of May or 1st of May, early of May, right? You can see we actually got a 1 GT bullish signal. So looking at this bullish signal, right over here, all the way up to where we are right now, you have got in, you have followed the signal, right? We are looking at a 37.3%, all right, in just about a month, all right, in a month, all right, 37% in a month, right? Of course, we got another 1 GT bullish signal yesterday as it broke a very key, what we call a horizontal resistance level. Look at this, right? So a couple of resistance here, horizontal resistance. Of course, you extend it, you can see we definitely broke above some of the key horizontal resistance, whereby we actually traded down previously, all right? So when we break above it, definitely some signs of strength, right? Some signs of strength. So what we could do right now is that, I think for, Praful, like you mentioned, to review, but I didn't really have the context. Are you looking to buy, or maybe you have bought previously? That would be great. But I think right now there potentially could have more upside. All right, this is the psychological resistance level. It's quite clearly $200. $200. You can see, right? We were actually near it right over here in December. Of course, we neared it as well somewhere in January, but came back down. So 200 is a psychological resistance level. And yesterday, right, we kind of like broke clearly above the 180. And it was quite fast. From 180, we just broke and it went to near 200 or 199. All right. So definitely a very bullish move. But I think right now we need to negotiate this 200 psychological resistance, right? If the next few days, if we can consolidate below 200, I think that's fine. I mean, a bit of profit gain because it's gone up by quite a fair bit, right? So you can consolidate below 200 for a while, maybe 194, 195, 198, a bit of up and down a bit. It's fine. But I'm looking for potentially a break of the 200, all right, a break of 200. I think that would be where it could spark off a new face up. It will be pretty much a multi-year high, all right, as we breach the November level, all right. And what could the targets be? So you can see, right, based on targets, what we could do is to do a bit of a projection. So you can see that was kind of like the consolidation range, right, from here, swing up, down, up, down. Of course, we broke the support, so that it will become like the consolidation support and resistance. And if we can just extrapolate, right, to above 200, well, that would be around the 250 resistance level, right? If we break, not saying it will go there, right? I'm saying if it breaks the 200, potentially, right, the range, right, from here could be all the way back up to 250. I think we may even see a new bullish signal if that happens, right? So this Oracle, I think it's definitely more bullish. In fact, it's been bullish since, as I say, early of May. Now it's already like 13th of June, right? So more than a month, it's been bullish and pushing higher, 30%. But there could still be more upside. If we lift off the 200 resistance, we could see more strength, right? So let me pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover the next US stock.
Thanks, Joey. All right. So I saw quite a few names right here. I think, hi, Catherine. Good morning. Would like to pick up some meta stock, but prices have prices quite far off from the trailing support. What level is it safe to enter? Okay, let me just throw up meta onto the screen right now. I think apologies for the lines. Okay, so for meta, I think very obviously we have previously hit the resistance or came close to the resistance of 735 to 740, and we had a few 1 GT bearish signals and prices headed down towards that 480 support level and swiftly rebounding from there. Subsequently, we had that 1 GT bullish signal that actually came in alongside with that reaffirming longer term trend, 100 days, 200 days still pointing up, 20 days moving average also pointing up at the same time, and prices recently broke above this 660 resistance level, now turning into a support. So what does this mean? Prices are just right smack in the middle of the support and resistance range right now, between that 660 to 740 level. I mean, this is not the kind of level you want to actually get in, because you are stuck in the middle of a no man's land. The risk reward may not be very worth it, but for a longer term accumulation, Catherine, what you could consider would be to also look at somewhere close to the support level. All right, somewhere close to the support level between 660 to maybe about 675. That could be a potential accumulation zone where buyers will actually like to come in to protect prices if it falls. So you could take that opportunity if it comes down to actually buy those shares. But I mean, nobody can tell you if the prices are going to come down for you to buy before it hits back up to the resistance, or buy and then prices hit lower. So always have a plan. So in case if prices hit higher, it doesn't come back down for you to buy. The other level to potentially look at, all right, the other potential level to actually look at would be a little bit more aggressive, I would say, to buy above the 740 level in a breakout. So that would be, of course, a new all-time high. So in that case, you could use your trailing support. All right, your trailing support will hit higher because it gives the stock room to breathe as it hits higher, and it will trail the prices. So if prices hit above that 740 level, that trailing support will hit higher towards that 740 level as well. Maybe not as close to it as you can see that there's a little bit of gap. All right, but you can use that trailing support as a stop loss level as well. So you want to continuously see that trailing support, and you want to see that trailing support intact. So if you are buying closer to that 670 to 675 level, yes, you will still be above that trailing support, and you could also place a stop limit order just below that trailing support, maybe 2 to 3% below it. That should be fine to continue to ride that uptrend. So not too sure if you currently are holding any meta stocks, but yep, this is a potential accumulation level and a little bit of a downside protection as well. So of course, if you're buying above 740, you want to also have a plan to protect your downside if prices fall below or fall back to that key support levels. Have a stop loss plan at the same time. But I think right now, Catherine, is more of a wait and see situation on where that meta stock could be heading to, either upwards towards their resistance or downwards back towards their support, where is that accumulation window for you as well. All right. Okay. So now passing the time to Z to cover the next stock for you.
All right, thank you, Bervyn. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, so I think the next stock I'll be covering is by Peter, right? Peter is actually asking about ANET. You mentioned you bought at 128. So let's take a look at this, right? So when I'm looking at the chart and you mentioned that you bought at 128, I believe you have got in somewhere near the high, right? Right here in January, and this is where we are at. So Peter, I'm not too sure what's your plan when you first enter into this counter. Is it supposed to be for long-term holdings because you have conviction in this counter, or is it just for trading, right? Because if it's the second reason, which is just for trading, right, then definitely you will need to have a trading plan now, because you can see that, you know, from the high right over here, subsequently with a 1GT bearish signal coming out. I'm not too sure what caused this gap because I've not been looking at this stock, but what we know is that price actually went all the way down about 53%, right, since the 1GT bullish signal came out. And right now, based on where we are at, and also based on the entry price that you went in, you're down about like 26%, right? So we don't want this to happen to us, like to any one of us, right? Because you don't want to be sitting on unrealized losses, right? So that's why it is very, very crucial to always have a trading plan in place. And that trading plan also means to have a stop loss plan, right? If prices didn't pan out or the trade didn't pan out according to plan, that's where you want to get out, right? So let's take a look at this point in time, okay? So what do we actually see from the chart? So right now, price yesterday, I believe it closed at 95.77, right? And right over here, we can actually spot a very immediate support level around this 92, right? This 92 right over here, right? Because this was where we actually saw, you know, prices was holding above this level since like September all the way to February before it broke down, right? And plus in the middle somewhere in November, this was where it retested this level. So I would say 92 is one of the immediate support level that perhaps you want to take note of, right? But if you were to look at the trend, right, the longer term trend, to be honest, it doesn't look that great, right? Because why? We can see that, you know, firstly, the longer term trend, the blue line, which is the 200 days moving average, was pointing up. It has started to flatten out, right? It has started to flatten out. That's number one. Number two is that the red line, which is the 100 days moving average, has went up. It has gone down, and right now it is actually still pointing down, right? It's actually still pointing down. So the longer term trend, I would say at this point in time, it doesn't look that ideal, right? It doesn't look that ideal. And for the short-term trend, no doubt, yes, we do see, prices actually rebounded from the low somewhere here, right? About this 70 over level, and we see a 1GT bullish signal, right, coming out here, and the 20 days moving average has gone up. But again, over the past week, if we see very closely, it has gone up and it has also started to flatten out. So based on all this, right, the trend for this particular counter, definitely it doesn't look that great. And if prices, I would say, if it were to, break below this 92, definitely we may see even more weakness returning back to this counter. And that is where we might also start to see the longer term, right? The longer term and the shorter term might also have some signs of it starting to point downwards. And that's not what we want, right? So for Peter, because since your average cost price is pretty high, right? If you are waiting for price to go back up all the way to your entry price, that will probably require the stock to go up another about 30 over to 40 over %, right? So for this particular counter, I would suggest for you to actually think about, where do you want to exit, right? Where is your stop loss plan for this particular counter? What is your trading plan for this trade, right? Because especially if I were to mention, right, if prices were to break below this 92, definitely that's where we'll actually see more weakness returning to this counter. So perhaps you might think about, reducing some exposure, at least to take some action on your unrealized losses, right? Because I believe now you are sitting on quite a huge unrealized losses because your position is actually quite big. Okay, so that would be for Arista Network, right? And I will pass the time back over to Joey to actually cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much. Let me move on to the next stock, and I will talk about this stock called NVDA, all right, by Leonard Ng, right? Long quite a while ago. So he bought quite a while ago. Not too sure what price or how long is long ago. What 1GT recommends, right? Israel attacked Iran a few hours ago. How does this affect the 1GT recommendation? So basically, guys, I mean, as I said, this one good trend strategy is mainly based on the technical criteria that we have. All right, I don't have time to explain the whole entire strategy. You can attend one of those free webinars. The last one will be next Tuesday. All right, but essentially, if you want to kind of like test drive what we call the 1GT indicator. So we do have a light version, which is like a simpler version. We don't have all the more advanced features like the trailing and the horizontal support and resistance and all that. So we do have a simpler version. So if you want to test drive it, I'll just place the link in the chat. Can you just click on it, right? So team, place the link in the chat. Once you click on this, right, you'll come to this page right over here. All right. Yeah, most incredible free gift ever in the stock market, right? Test drive my one good trend light indicator. That's a simpler version. Right? We are using the pro one, right? But test drive the light one for free, all right? And this way you can see the bullish and bearish signals, can guide you on entry and exit. Plus, you get like $3,997 worth of training for free, all right? Just for saying maybe just to to come like have you test drive this for free, all right? So check it out. The link is in the chat, and that's how you could potentially use this tool as well to help you, right? So this is NVIDIA, right? So let's take a look at NVIDIA. You can see right now we are at $145. So I'll not go too far, but same thing, right? Whenever we get bullish signals, there we go, all the way up, pump, all right? All the way up, pump, all the way up. So a bullish signals with the trends pointing up in the longer term plus in the short term, that would be a bullish thing for sure, all right? But if you get bearish signals, like look at this, right? Red bearish signals, the 1GT bearish signal. So you might be confused. What is 1GT that we see on this signal? So 1GT in short, that is 1GT. Well, we call it the one good trend strategy, right? Some of you might be confused. Why one good trend? Well, we believe that one good trend is all you really need to maximize your profits, see your portfolio grow, all right, if you get in at the right time, right? So we just call it one good trend. So I've been using this strategy for more than a decade now. So that's called one good trend, all right? 1GT in short, okay? So you can see, right? Bearish, since like, January, not even in April, right? Even before the tariff, right? And that was where NVIDIA started to sell down. There were some tensions between US and China. Of course, NVDA was hit as well because it was exporting some chips to China. It was hit like an export ban, I think a $5 billion charge as well. So a bit of weakness then, right? But over the past few weeks, in fact, somewhere around like early of May last month, well, we got a new 1GT bullish signal. So we have push up, right? We have push up by, I mean, just based on this reversal signal, right? We have push up by about 28.8% in about 1 month. All right, pretty good. I mean, based on this bullish signal. So as I say, right, when we see bearish signals, you don't want to rush, you just buy lah. I mean, just be patient, right? Wait for the bullish signal to come out. Wait for the short-term trend to also kind of like, just reverse back up as another confirmation, and that's where you want to think about getting in, right? And if you have got in, great, right? That's where you can see that we have pushed up higher, 28%. The question is, could there be more upside? Could it not be just be 28? Could it be 40 or 50 or 100%, right? Well, let's find out, right? So I would say right now that this is a very, very key level, right, for NVIDIA, all right? So there's still very strong, I would say, demand for AI. A lot of companies are reporting pretty strong earnings like Oracle on AI demand as well. And that's where, it's benefiting companies like NVIDIA, which is selling the GPU chips to many of its customers, right? Like even Meta, like the Z, that Bervyn covered, right? Like Amazon, Alphabet, and huge demand for its GPU chip because many of these companies are building up their AI data centers. So I think right now in the world, there's like about 100 AI data center factories. It's like more than double compared to a year ago. So there's still a lot of opportunities, a lot of growth, all right, in this entire AI space, right? So I would say that this 150 will be very key, all right? 150 to, I mean, maybe 155 if you want to give it a bit of allowance. So 150 to 155, I think that is a very key resistance level. We were trading from November all the way to March, all right? If we can break the 150, now it's 145. So we are very near, we are very near, this resistance level. So if you want to take some profit, nothing wrong. I mean, if you've got in like, 110 or what, now it's 150, you are 28, 30% is fine, right? Take some profit is fine. But I'm looking at, if we can see a new bullish 1GT signal right over here, I think we can break these levels. It may set up a new signal, all right, and that could spark off the same thing, all right, a whole new momentum. It could be another phase up, right? Targets could be revised all the way to 180 to even that 200. I think that's where NVIDIA, being the leader in the entire AI sector as well, it will push up many of those AI plays as well. All right, so this is NVIDIA. All right, NVIDIA I think looks pretty good. Just that we are kind of nearing that 150 to 155 kind of like resistance, where some selling can actually come back again. All right, so Leonard, I hope you have a better understanding. So let's move on to the next stock. Bervyn, all yours, going to cover the next US stock.
Thanks, Joey. Okay, so I think there's one other stock that is very, very close to NVIDIA. I think this one, AVGO. I think quite a few people are asking about AVGO. I think John was asking AVGO. I think Tony was also asking AVGO. Okay, so let's cover AVGO. All right, okay, just let me clear up my drawings on my chart that I have here. All right, okay, so I think for AVGO, I think, John, you're right. Enemy prices actually are coming close, or is coming close to the all-time high. I think a little bit of a bullishness coming back into the AI sector, like what Joey had said as well. I think prices have firmly broken or tried to break above that 245 to that 250 resistance level previously. I think that is pretty clear that in the past, it had tested these levels quite a few times, break above it very recently, briefly dipped below it, and now we are above this level. So I'm not too sure if you're actually still holding, or if you are looking to sell or anything like that. That is okay as well, because prices previously have approached that 270 resistance level, close to it, 270 psychological resistance level, where you can also expect a little bit of profit taking to come in. But looking at the longer term trend wise, I think we see a very good recovery, especially since the sell down in April. Prices very swiftly rebounded from the 160 level up to that 250 level. So if you just take a rough estimate, that is a very good 78, close to 80% recovery already. So I think that is a very good move up already. So if you have bought previously, great. I think it's time to look on how we are going to protect some of those profits by looking to buy. All right, so we see we have two, not just two, three 1 GT bullish signal that have actually came in. I think the most recent one was just 2 days ago as prices once again broke above that 245 resistance level, now turned into a support. So John and Tony, if you are looking to take a little bit of profits, I would say nothing wrong to take some profits as prices approach that 270 level. But if you are looking to accumulate, I think this level just right above this 250 level would be a good accumulation zone as well, because at the same time we have a fresh 1 GT bullish signal coming in. We got prices in the buy zone. As you can see previously, as prices dip below this level, and buyers are keen to actually come back in to accumulate on those dips as well. So where could prices head towards if that 270 level gives way? All right, so if that 270 level gives way, if we do a simple projection upwards, I think upwards towards that $300 level would be possible. So I think next thing what we are going to be looking out for is another 1 GT bullish signal. Why? Is if prices break above that 270 level, that is a sign of the new momentum, or momentum can continue as well. So I think if prices break below that 245 now, all right, okay, so now we talk about upside area. Let's protect your downside a little bit. If prices come back down towards that 240 level, if we just turn on that trailing support and resistance line, you can see that roughly the trailing support is right around that 234, 235 level. By placing a stop limit order, right? Stop limit order just below that 235 level, you could be protecting some of your profits, right? You could be protecting some of your profits. So even if you get out, you will still be getting out with some profits. So that is a good sign. You are sitting on profits. You don't want, like what Zia said, don't want to be actually having some profits and then turning into losses as well. Okay, so I think just a few levels to take note for Broadcom, right? That 250, 270, and just roughly below that 235, maybe like the 230 level. These are the key levels you want to watch out for. But so far, so good. We can continue to see that trend playing out, that shorter term momentum playing out. The longer term momentum could potentially play out as well. Okay, so that is for AVGO. Passing the time back to Z to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so the next stock that I'll be sharing about, right, will be by JH, right? JH actually asking about PGR, whether you can enter, and you're thinking about entering, right? So let's take a look at PGR, because I think this PGR stock is actually definitely on one of our watch lists as well. And we're actually also closely looking at this stock because, as you can see, the uptrend for this stock is very beautiful, right? It has been going up since even last year or the year before, right? The blue and the red line has been pointing up. But recently, what we are seeing is that definitely there is some short-term weakness, right? Why? Because we are actually seeing the 20 days moving average when it has gone down, then go up, then go down again. And the last signal that we actually see right over here on the chart is on this day, right, 4th of April, which is a 1 GT bearish signal, right? 1 GT bearish signal. But that being said, when we actually see a 1 GT bearish signal, it doesn't mean that you cannot buy into the stock, or you totally ignore this stock. But more so of, if you do see a 1 GT bearish signal, then if you are looking at a bigger picture whereby the longer term uptrend is actually still intact, this is where we potentially want to further monitor this stock, right? Because let's take a look at this, right? Back in November, December, this is where we actually also see a 1 GT bearish signal coming out, right? Longer term trend is actually still up, but perhaps at this point in time, in somewhere in December, when we see this 1 GT bearish signal, this is not where you want to actually get into the stock. Where we want to get into the stock is that perhaps you want to have more confirmation, right? That's when we actually have a 1 GT bullish signal coming out, plus we are seeing some signs of the short-term trend turning up, right? So this is where we actually see two 1 GT bullish signal, and from the first 1 GT bullish signal to the 1 GT bearish signal right over here, this is about a 15%, right? So right now, immediate support level that we are actually looking at, right, would be around this 260, right? This 260 level right over here. Right? And this level is also very, very close to the blue line, which is the 200 days moving average right over here, right? So because previously, as we can see from September to February, right, of this year, this was where prices was actually kept below. It tested a little bit in November, December right over here, but it did not manage to break through, right? It came back down again, and eventually it was in February that it managed to break through, and subsequently it retested this 260 level a couple of times this year. And right now prices seems to be heading back to this 260, and it is retesting this 260 level. So I would say right now prices is near the support level. So if you're thinking, of accumulating some, it is possible to actually do that near a support level, but like what I've mentioned earlier on, right, you do need to have a trading plan in place to actually protect your downside, right? But the other thing that I wanted to bring your attention to, right, is that because the thing is that what we want to see is more confirmation, right? Like what I said, you want more confirmation from the trend, which is the 20 days moving average perhaps starts to point up, and also confirmation from the 1GT bullish signal. So if I were to turn on this thing called the trading support and resistance function, right, on the 1GT Pro indicator, so what we can see now is, of course, definitely we are seeing a trailing resistance, right over here near this 290, and it's very close to this 290, right? So if prices is actually able to consolidate and slowly move up and break above this resistance, right, this trailing resistance near this 290, right, this is where we will actually see another confirmation from the 1GT bullish signal, right? So if prices can break and hold above the resistance, trailing resistance, we will see a 1GT bullish signal coming out, and that will actually give us more confirmation on this particular stock. And by then, if prices were to break and hold above this level, do you think that the short-term trend will actually start to point up as well? Yes, because these will also probably hit sideways, and there could be some signs of it turning back up in terms of the short-term trend. And that is where we will have three of the moving averages, green, red, and blue, all heading up in the same direction, which is what we want to see, right? So potential upside targets, right, if prices can break and hold above this 290, I would say if we were to do a projection right over here, like this, and shift it up, right? So it will be somewhere near this 320, right? So this could be the next potential targets that we are looking at if prices can break and hold above this 290. Okay, so for JH, like what I mentioned, there could be two potential zones of entry that you can be looking at somewhere near the 260 level. This is one, but do have a plan in place, like whereby your stop loss plan in place. The next one will be to wait for more confirmation, right? When we have a 1GT bullish signal and the short-term trend starts to turn up, probably that would be when it has indeed break above this 290 level. Okay, so that will be for PGR. I'll pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next stock.
Okay, very good. Let me move on to the next stock. All right, and let me go to share my screen. All right, so just a quick recap, guys, of the stocks that we've covered so far. So what happens is that in the beginning, I covered the markets, right? The S&P 500 index, all right, the Dow Jones. And after that, I also covered what we call the very first stock, and that would be C3.ai, Adobe, ADBE was covered, Robinhood, Oracle, Meta, Arista Network, NVIDIA, NVDA was covered. Bervyn covered AVGO, and Zee just covered Progressive Corporation, PGR. So right now, I'm moving on to the very next stock, and that would be on Google, right? Alphabet Google. Let's see, right? Who's asking about this? Leong, right? Google, please, been holding for a while. Should I sell some and invest in others like Novo? All right, in Novo. Okay, I'm not looking at Novo, but since you're asking about Google, let's take a look at Google right now. GOOGL, right? $175. So I would say that for Google, all right, Alphabet, well, we have actually been in a very strong longer-term uptrend since 2023, right? Higher lows, 100 days moving average, the red line above the blue line, both of these two lines pointing up. But somewhere around, I would say, end of last year or maybe beginning of the year, well, you can see that the red and blue line actually started to point from up to a bit of sideways. So the longer term trend has turned sideways, and based on the longer term trend sideways movement, all right, we can draw what we call some very key horizontal support and resistance. So I would say that the horizontal support and resistance is quite clearly from 150 all the way to that 200. All right, look at this. I mean, this is what has been happening, right? From like April last year, more than a year back, it's up, down, then go up again, then go down again, then now maybe it's like going up again and down again. I don't know, right? But that has been pretty much the range over the past 1 over year. All right, so longer term trend, I would say, is sideways. So now let me go to take a look at what we call the trend over the short term. So you can see, right, a couple of bullish signals over here in September. All right, pump, there we go, all the way up. Another bullish one, we went up, and we got bearish one GT signal coming out in February. Right, look at this, February coming out. The green 20 days moving average line also started to slope down, all the way down. So you want to be careful if you see a bearish signal plus the green line starts to slope down. Another bearish signal, it goes down even more, all right, all the way, right? So you want to be patient because it went down from near 200 to 150, all right, to 150, all right. But then finally, on the 2nd of May, which is just last month, all right, we got finally a new 1 GT bullish signal, all right, and that's where you can see that finally the short-term trend, the green line, also started to point up. So if you ask me right now, should you think about selling, right? You've been holding on for a while. I'm not too sure how wow is well. I mean, whether you have bought over here or at the high, or maybe like 5 years ago or 10 years ago, that would be better, right? But what happens is that right now, I would say that we're looking to be a bit more bullish, all right, more bullish than bearish, because we got a bullish signal. The short-term trend is up. We are kind of like making our way up gradually, I would say, towards the 200, right? 200 is, as I say, pretty much where we were previously. If we hit there, getting some selling can come back again, right? So right now we are like 175, maybe, right? A bit of resistance. I mean, it was originally a support level of resistance, 180, all right? Pump, support, broke down, 180. You can see we are right here. So 180 is a little bit of a support, because over the past few days, you can see, right? Some selling pressure is coming back. We've got some bearish candles coming out near that 180 level. All right, so anything near 178, 179, 176, like that, some selling is coming, which is normal, because that was where we actually sold off. Previously, it was a support level that we broke down as well. So I think we can break the 180 lah. I mean, like, past 2-3 days, it just went up and then came back down. But let's assume that we can break the 180 maybe next week. Like we go to 182 or 183 or 184. You can set some alerts. You can set some alerts like look at this 181 pump, right? 183 pump, right? So when all these levels are hit, that's where I think we could take a look at this stock again. There could be more upside, right? There could be more upside, and that's where targets could be all the way back to the original 200 psychological resistance level. Of course, when that happens, right, we see a bit of profit taking. If we get another bearish signal like what we saw previously, right, and then you want to take some profit and get out, don't hold it all the way back down again lah. Does it make sense? All right. So like for example, like this or that, right? So we got two. Now it's something like this, right? We got a bullish signal. All right. So you look at it right now, we got a bullish signal coming out, right? The green line starts to turn up, and you look over here, the green line starts to turn up, right? So now maybe we're like halfway lah, right? Halfway over here. Maybe you can go up some more, and then a bearish signal, and then you want to get up because that's where we can reverse back down. Does it make sense? All right. So that's what Alphabet, I think, looks pretty bullish. We can break a bit of 180. More upside to the previous high at 200 target. All right. GOOGL. All right. Bervyn, back to you. The next US stock.
Thanks, Joey. All right. So following Joey's trend, I think let's talk about Microsoft now. All right. Okay. So I think Ian is asking about Microsoft. I think NG is also asking about Microsoft. Let me just throw it up on the screen right now. I think for Microsoft, we are at the all-time high as of yesterday's close. Prices firmly broke above that 460 levels. Finally, this. Since 2024, we actually achieved that high. We've not been able to hold or break above it. We had 2-1 GT bearish signals pushing prices all the way back down to that close to that 340 support. And finally, we have a 1 GT bullish signal that have actually came out 3 days or 2 days before prices actually gapped up and pushed very, very swiftly above that 460 level. Okay, so now this 460 level, I'll place it as a new support level. Why? Because it's a resistance turned into a support, simply. All right, that upside, I think I will place it at the psychological $500 level first. Why? Is because I think previously we have a little bit of a resistance turn support right here around that 440 level first. So if we just want to work it out, you think you can just do it like that, about 485 to the 500 level would be a very, very reasonable target as prices start to hit higher. We have that 100 days and 200 days moving average pointing up, but notice right here that the 100 days moving average is just still under that 200 days moving average right now. It's not crossed above it yet. It's the 200 days moving average is still above the 100 days moving average. So once we see prices start to consolidate, we want to see a little bit of consolidation above the new support to just get that confirmation that this support is a key support that buyers are looking out for. And as prices head towards this support, we have some buyers coming in. That 20 days moving average is also right around that 460 level. So I think so far so good. It looks like this support could be a new key support that we can watch out for as well. Okay, so if we were to turn on that trailing support and resistance, you can see it move up very swiftly with the prices as well, just right under that 460 level. So I think if you are looking NG for the longer term trend, I think the longer term trend is still forming up. Once that 100 days, 200 days moving average cross each other again, I think yes, then we are back to that phase again, right back in early 2024, where you see that 100 days moving average above that 200 days moving average slightly sloping up. We could see that phase happen again right here. Just need a little bit more confirmation for now. So I think if you are looking, all right, you're looking to accumulate yen, I think maybe you're looking for the support to actually accumulate. This is right around that support level where you can set up some alerts for yourself to just get that opportunity to get back in if prices just retrace a little bit more. But I think Microsoft still one of the very key players in the market, one of the Magnificent Seven stocks that have continued to play out this year. So I think can continue to watch it. I think so far, as long as that 500 level is breached, I think more upside can be seen as well. Okay, so that is a very quick one for Microsoft. Passing the time back to Z now.
All right, thank you, Bervyn. Okay, so the next stock that I'll be covering will be from Christopher, right? Christopher is actually asking about CELH, which is Celsius Holding. Looking to buy, breaking out of long-term resistance of $40. Hi Christopher, thanks. I hope you're still here. Okay, thanks for sharing this stock, because right now it does look like it is poised for a potential reversal right over here, right? So perhaps we might add this back into our watch list again, right, to continue monitoring it. So for Celsius, right, let's take a look at the trend. All right, so previously back in 2024, right, definitely right over here, the trend isn't that great lah. Then luckily you are telling me that at this point in time you are then thinking about buying. At least it is not when the trend is pointing down, right? Because we don't want to buy when the trend is actually pointing down, right? So back in 2024, we actually see multiple signs of the trend actually turning down, right? And it's actually a downtrend. Plus, if we actually take a look at this back here in 2024, we actually see this, right? And then it actually broke down and it went even lower, right? So this is actually what we call a double top as well, right? And then it actually break down below the neckline. And right over here, since 2024 to where we are at, right, we are actually seeing prices being kept below this very crucial level for at least, I would say, more than 8 to 9 months, right? Because you can see right over here, prices was actually kept below this $40 level, right? Since when it broke down in August 2024, and right now where we are at is in June, right? And prices recently just break and hold above the 40 level mark, right over here. And what we can see is that over the past couple of months, right, we have also started to see more 1GT bullish signal coming out right over here. So as you can see, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 consecutive 1GT bullish signal appearing, and currently there is still no 1GT bearish signal yet, right? There's still no exit signal. Plus, over the past couple of weeks, right, we can actually also start to see, these moving averages, right? The red actually crossed the blue line, which is also a good sign in terms of the longer term trend, right? And the green line has also started to point up, right? So I would say at this point in time, I would say for Celsius Holding, it does look like it is poised for a potential uptrend reversal, right, at this point in time, based on the trend, provided that if prices is actually able to hold firmly above this $40, right? This $40 is a psychological level, right, that we need to take note of, right? And in terms of the upside, let's say we talk about upside, what upside are we looking at? Firstly, based on the previous price action that we are actually seeing back in 2024, we can see that this level, $60 level, is actually one of the level that prices is actually unable to break above. It was a resistance back here, and that is one. The other thing is that if I were to actually do a projection up like that based on the range that it was trading over the past months, right? And if you actually do a projection up, you'll be very close to the $60 level as well. You know, $58, $60, around this level, this would be the next potential upside that we can potentially be looking at if prices can firmly hold above this $40 level, right? But of course, I don't expect it to immediately, you know, next few days immediately shoot up to 60. No, I don't mean that, right? It could be a gradual, you know, especially so it would be even better if prices can go up, you know, consolidate, go up, consolidate, go up, consolidate, so that these will actually make the uptrend reversal more sustainable as well, right? Rather than immediately it just shoot up to 60, that's where you also will be a bit scared, right? Because you also won't know what exactly to do when prices shoot up that fast, right? Because it can also come down very, very quickly. So what we want to see is more of a sustainable uptrend reversal. And the levels to take note for this counter for Christopher, it will be at $40. Definitely this is near the support level right now, right? And the next target that we are looking at will be near the $60. Okay, so that will be for Celsius Holding. I'll pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next stock.
Okay, thank you so much. I think there's a very good stock, CELH, definitely one of the stocks that we want to put in our watch list. Again, it looks like a potential reversal, all right, especially if it holds above the $40 that Z has mentioned as well, right? So let me go to share the next stock. And I think that would be on, I think a few people asking about this stock on Spotify, all right? Lisa Chua, is now a good price to buy Spotify as now is in an all-time high, right? So Lisa Chua is asking about it. I think another person asking about it as well. Let's see who is asking about it, right? We have, hey, right, looking at any upside for Spotify. So maybe you're looking to take some profit as it goes even higher, or maybe to get in as well, right? So let's talk about Spotify right now. And as I say, guys, right now, you can see that me, Bervyn and Zee, we have been covering the 1GT, your stocks on the 1GT Pro indicator, and based on the bullish and bearish signals, right? So if you want to find out more, all right, on the entire strategy, just want to share one more time because I think the link is all the way hidden above. You can attend one of those free webinars. We have the very last webinar, right? I would say next Tuesday. Hopefully you can make it because the next one will probably be like 2 or 3 months away. All right. So click on the link in the chat, right? My team will just place the link in the chat. And you can go ahead to click on the link, and that is where you will come to this page right over here. All right. How to 3x your stock portfolio with my one good trend framework. Join us in live webinar. Yep, the date is next Tuesday, 17th of June, 7:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. All right, so that is pretty much where I will share with you guys 3 secrets, right? How to know when to get in and get out. How do you know how to time your entry? And more importantly, right, how do you actually filter out the top, like 1% of stocks, right? So now we are covering your stocks, right? I mean, Spotify, NVDA and all that. But are they actually the top 1% of stocks that you want to watch? All right, so how do you actually filter them out first before you know when to buy and sell them, right? So that's how I'll share with you guys on how we screen the best of the best stocks, right? And that's what we do as well to put them in our watch list, right? So check it out. The link is a chat. You come to this page, register for a free webinar next Tuesday. Next one will be next Tuesday. That's pretty much the last one for this month. I think next one will be probably in 2 or 3 months away. So hopefully you don't miss this. All right, okay, so that is pretty much what I'm sharing with you. Let me go ahead to talk now about this stock called Spotify, right? Spotify. The code is SPOT, right? SPOT. So you can see, right, for Spotify, it has been in our watch list for a while. In fact, I think it's one of the stocks that I actually shared as a bonus stock as well a couple of months back in our Ask Me Any Stock live session. You can see the longer term trend is up. Like look at the red and the blue line. Very strong, very steady, very firm. Both pointing up, the red above the blue since like 2023, right? Since like 2 over years ago. Like it's not just last month, like I since this very long ago, right? 2 over years ago, right? But of course, doesn't mean the long-term trend is up, means like it will forever go up. It means in the short term cannot come down. No lah, it can also come down in the short term, right? So you can see, right, a couple of times you got a bearish signal, and it does move sideways a bit, maybe go down a bit, right? Look at this, a bearish signal, it comes down a bit for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then we got a new bullish signal, it starts going up again. right? So whenever we see like a bearish signal, and the longer term trend is up, right, but the short term trend is down, well, it's good. I mean, it gives us an opportunity to think about getting in when prices are slightly cheaper, but not anyhow, right? When the time comes, right? When the time comes. So then you might ask me, when does the time come? Well, when we see a new bullish signal coming back, like over here, right? Like when we see a new bullish signal coming back, and then there we go, all right, all the way up. There we go. Look at this, right? Bullish signals coming back. So we got a bearish signal, all right? Come down, be patient. Wait for what? Wait until this comes in, this, and there we go, all the way up. I would say 112%. In about 7 months, all right? So that's what we're waiting for. So let's go to see what has happened over the past few weeks, right? So you can see for Spotify, longer term trend is up, where we got bearish signal in March. I think that's where the market sold off, right? April, everything sold off as well. We got another bearish signal. So be a bit more patient now, right? Don't have to rush. The green 20 days moving average line, all right, that was sloping up. A bullish signal in January this year is sloping up, start to slope down, maybe flat a bit, and then finally pump, right? We got not one, but we got two bullish signals coming out, right? So I think it looks pretty good. I mean, we have gone out a little bit already from like here all the way up to where we are now, about 25% in about 1 over month. All right, pretty okay. Long-term trend is up. Obviously, the green 20 days moving average line is still pointing up. So I think it looks pretty good. If I can draw this support level for you, we may have seen, I would say, a little bit of support somewhere over here, right? Maybe somewhere around the 675, all right, 675, or maybe 680, right over here. I think 675. Let's just put 675, right? So 675, 680, I think that's where you can see potentially we have found some resistance previously, just last month, right? Last month it came down, but finally, we went above 675, right? And then quite a bullish candle, even though it's red, but we've got a long lower shadow, all right? And we're still holding above the 675 to 680. Now it's what? Now it's 702, all right? Which is still okay, right? So I think it's stay above that, 675, 680. The green line is still pointing up. There is obviously no bearish signal coming out. So some you might ask me, Joey, when then will the bearish signal come out? Well, the answer is I don't know. All right, it could be here, it could be here, it could be here, it could be here. I mean, when it comes out, then it comes out, then I will know, right? Then you can think about getting out, and then you can, maybe take some profit and get out, like when we see over here. So what we could do is we could set an alert, right? Like right click, set an alert on like Spotify or any stocks that we talked about previously, right? So let's say you've got in, you can set a one good trend pro indicator alert, buy or sell alert, create, done. All right. So when a bearish signal comes out, right, we will be alerted by an app notification, an email, even a pop-up over here, right? And that's where you can guide us to get out as well and get many of our graduates and our mentees as well, right? So attend one of those free webinars to find out more as to like the whole entire process on how we do it. But essentially, I think for Spotify, it looks pretty bullish. If I can turn on the trailing support and resistance, you can see, right? A trailing support has popped up, follow up, flat, right? It's following Spotify. As moves up, it gives it space to hopefully move up more. So you can see, right, the horizontal support that I've drawn is about 675. But the trailing support, there's some space, right, between the horizontal support and the trailing support, right? It's slightly lower, like the trailing support. Why? Because the trailing support accounts for volatility. It gives it space. That's why it's slightly lower. All right. So I think if you're above the trailing support, or maybe even above the horizontal support, it still looks okay. All right, those could be grounds for you to time your entry to think about getting in to ride the upside even further, maybe all the way to 720. So 720 would be like a temporary, all right, resistance level. That breaks, maybe all the way to 750 and even to 800. That could be the next upside targets. All right, so that would be for Spotify. Okay, Bervyn, go ahead. Your turn.
Thanks, Joey. All right. Okay, so I think next one, let's see what do I want to cover. I think quite a lot of people are asking about this UNH. I think it's United Health. I think let me just throw it up right here. I think Peter, you're asking about UNH. I think I saw someone that was asking about it as well. No problem. Let me just see. Here we go. Wenkit was also asking about UNH. Okay, so around my screen here, we have United Health Group. I think one of the stocks that actually dropped quite a little bit since we have a few 1 GT bearish signals coming in right here. I think just right down to the bottom, that's more than a 50% drop already from that 600 level that it had tested early to mid of April. we actually saw heavy selling coming in for a few weeks, and then prices found a little bit of a support at about that 280 level. So what does this say? Is it time to buy? Is it buy when it's cheap? No, I do not recommend, or we do not recommend to actually buy when prices have taken a fall just like that. You know, suddenly there is a discount on the stock. I mean, just logically speaking, there has to be a reason why the share price have consistently dropped lower and not able to rebound, right? Everybody knows something right here. So you can see that 200 days moving average, 100 days moving average started to already point down, though we see that 20 days moving average flattening out a bit as prices pushed higher and tried to push higher in the last 2 days, but pretty much not able to breach that 320 level just yet. So I think the first thing we want to be careful, or we want to watch out for, is any signs of further selling close to this 320 level. You know, if prices are not able to break above the 320 level, it could come back to test that 280 level. So I think Joey and Z have done this a few times, a forecast up, but we can also do a forecast downwards as well. So you gotta be a little bit more careful. Right, a little bit more careful, as if that 280 level is broken or that support isn't respected, you could see downside towards that 240 level as well. So you want to be with the trend, especially the longer term trend. You do not want to be trading against the trend, because that is meaning you're trading against the market. It's rather you're better off to be trading with the market in that sense, with that flow of that wave. All right, so if that 320 level is breached, the upside to that 380 level could be possible. We want to see a 1GT bullish signal coming in. All right, so just now Joey had mentioned that trailing support, you want to be following that trailing support upwards. So we want, in this case, is the other direction. You want to be able to break above that trailing resistance right around that $350 level. Yes, then I would say, then we can come back and then monitor this counter to see if there's a potential reversal. It's okay to buy a little bit more expensive. All right, it's okay to get a little bit more confirmation before rushing in. Okay, so if you're just looking to buy, you are bought already. I think Peter, you have bought some at 295. What you want to do is you want to protect your downside. In this case, you can find a little bit of temporary support, maybe about that 290 level. So maybe just want to set up some alerts, some stop limit orders below that 295 level. You know, you're sitting on a little bit of a profits now, so you don't want to turn that into losses. But I think in the general sense for UNH, it doesn't look very good at this point. There's no reason for you, Peter, to go and buy some more. I don't think if prices come down, you want to average down. I don't think that is a good plan. What you want to do is now you want to focus on your current exposure first, protect those profits, those small profits that you have first. Okay, so that is for UNH. Just take note for those key levels. Hopefully, we do not see any further breakdown of the prices. All right, so passing the time back to Z to cover the next stock for you.
All right, thank you, Bervyn. Okay, so the next stock that I'll be covering will be by Ming Kai, right? Ming Kai is asking about a review on AMD. Ming Kai, I hope you are still here. Okay, so let's talk about AMD, all right? So for AMD, as you can see here, this is about a 1-year chart, right? Back in 2024, this is where, you know, prices starts to head sideways, right? We see multiple 1GT bullish, bearish, and then it keeps flip-flopping, right? And subsequently, somewhere in November last year, this is where we saw more signs of the trend turning down already, right? This is where the first 1GT bullish, bearish signal actually came out, and we also start to see, you know, the 20 days moving average has crossed below both the longer term and the longer term moving average over here, the red and the blue line, has also started to point downwards, right? So back in November, this is where, you know, we have signs that, you know, the downtrend is starting to form, and the downtrend indeed remains intact, right? All the way to May, right? This is where we see a first 1GT bullish signal coming out again. on the 8th of May, right? 8th of May, and there are also signs whereby the short-term trend has started to turn up. So if I don't know if any of you guys or maybe Minka, you have got in somewhere around here, great, right? Because now you are already sitting on some profits, right? Because price closed at 118.5 last night, and right now we can see that very clearly. Price is actually heading back up to retest this level, and this level is the resistance level, right? Which is near this 130 psychological level right over here, right? Price is actually heading back up, inching back up from the lows of 80, right? Towards this resistance level, and that is where we also, like we mentioned, right? We see short-term strength based on the 20-day moving average pointing up, crossing above the red line, and we get 2 consecutive 1 GT bullish signal, right? But the thing is that for the longer term trend, the blue line is actually still above the red line. So it's not that ideal, right? It's not that ideal because what we want is green above the red, above the blue, right? So right now, the 200 days is actually still above the 100 days. So if you were to ask me, right, what kind of confirmation I would like to see, right? Firstly, number one definitely will be for price to be able to break and hold above the 130 first. So 130 is the resistance, right? If it can actually break and hold above the 130, great, right? That means that, you know, there is buying pressure coming back in to support the prices, and prices have been finding new support level, new higher support level. So that's good. That's good, right? So that's one thing that I want to see. And the second thing that I want to also look out for, right, is when the 200 days moving average, right, this red line also have signs of it starting to point up. Best is it can actually cross above the blue line, right? That would means that, you know, the short term and the longer term trend would actually be aligned, right? Will actually be aligned. So in terms of the targets, right, that we're actually looking at, if prices is actually able to break and hold above the 130, that will be the next level, the resistance right over here at about 170, right? 170. So I think for this counter, if you do really want to think about entering, right, I think it's okay, but the thing is that perhaps there might not be sufficient risk to reward ratio, right? Especially so when also the trend that we are looking at this point in time, the longer term trend, is not really aligned with the short term trend yet. So personally, I would think for this counter, you can continue to monitor first, you know, set some alerts, right? Particularly, you can actually set price alert. Number one, price alert right over here. If prices can actually break and hold above the 130, that's one. So very quickly, you can do it right over here. Right click, add alert. So perhaps my price alert, I can put about 135, right? 135, and every time it hits the 135 level, it will actually alert me. I'll create, right? And the second thing that I want to alert myself as well is to have another 1 GT bullish signal coming out to give me an additional confirmation, right? So how I can do that is I right click, then I add alert, right? So, and this time I will change the price to 1 GT right over here. And I want to add a buy alert, right? Once per bar, and create. So in that way, when AMD actually has another 1 GT bullish signal coming out, giving me more confirmation, then that's where I potentially want to relook at the stock again and to see where are the potential zones of entry for me to potentially enter into this stock. All right. So Minkai, I hope that helps. That's for AMD. Back over to you, Joey, to cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. Let's move on to the next stock, and just want to go ahead to answer some of the questions that you guys have placed in the chat as well. Not really about the stock, but let's see, right? Lian Hong, good morning, Joe. Is 1 GT good for day trading? So this is a little bit on this day, the strategy by itself, right? So basically, guys, the one good trend strategy, you can see that we've been analyzing your stocks, the US stocks that you guys asked, right? We are not looking at a 5-minute chart or 1-minute chart or 10-minute chart, right? So this is not really a day trading strategy, right? Every single candlestick bar is 1 day, all right? And you can see that, when we have like a bullish signal coming out. So this is Tesla, which I'll go through in a bit. But when we have a bullish signal coming out, the stock can move up for 2 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. It's a swing to position kind of trading. So it's not really like in and out, really like 1 day, or 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you sell, then buy, then sell, then buy, then sell, 1 day, 30 trades. Not really, all right? So it's a bit more on swing to position kind of like trading, right? So that's the first thing I want to say about the strategy. So as I say, you want to find out more, attend one of those free webinars. We have one final one next Tuesday. The link is above. My team has placed it in the chat already just now. All right, click on it, register for it, and I'll share with you guys a bit more on the entire strategy. All right, so it's not very stressful. You don't have to like monitor every single second or what. No, right? It's like you let the stock run. It goes up. You get alerted. You get out. All right. If not, then let it go up some more lah. Does it make sense? All right. So I hope that helps. And let me take a look at some of the questions as well. Some of you are asking about certain stocks like. So guys, today we'll be looking at what we call the Singapore market. So I think like we have Chia Keng Hee can still buy Sheng Siong, right? I think the answer is yes, but we'll be looking at US stocks today. So for Sheng Siong, the Singapore stock, that'll be next Friday. So join us next Friday, Keng Hee. All right, or you can test drive the 1GT light indicator and do what we do. Take a look and see if there are any bullish or bearish signal as well. Test drive my 1GT light indicator for free. The link is right in the chat above as well. All right, so check it out. That is pretty much. Let's see, right? What are some of the questions we have? Okay, good. So let's move on right now to Tesla. All right, Tesla on my screen. Okay, let me just pull out who is asking about Tesla. I think a few of you asking about Tesla. All right, let's see. Let's pull out the comment, and we have. Okay, where is it? Oh yeah, okay, yeah, Leonard, right? Tesla quite long ago. What is your 1GT recommendation? I think another one of you asking about Tesla as well. Let me see, who is it? Okay, never mind. I think yeah, one of you was asking about Tesla, but let's just go to look at Tesla right now. TSLA trading at about $319. So Tesla, you can see, right? We got some bullish signals in October, very strong rally all the way up. We got a bearish signal, 75%. All right, 75%. In about 2 months. And then there we go. When we got a bearish signal, you can see that that's where the sell down happened. The green 20 days moving average line that was going up started to point down. That's another confirmation. And then all the way down, we went all the way down, right? Until recently, right? We started to see some signs of a reversal. 9th of May, we managed to break above that 300. So 300 was actually what we call a psychological, resistance level. We broke up all the way up. Sorry, let me just put it back. So 300 is that level, right? And of course, we broke down the 300, retested it, came down. So we were kept below 300 for quite a while, all right? And of course, when we broke above it, it's a bullish signal, went all the way up. And over the past few days or last week, right? What happens was we saw a 1GT bearish signal. So now all of you know what has happened. I would say that right now, the relationship between Donald Trump and Elon Musk, all right, it's not really that good. They're like, kind of like ongoing public, spat between them. They are commenting on their social media platforms. And I think Elon Musk don't really agree with like Donald Trump's, tax cut bill policy. And, Trump is like, calling, like, I think, Elon Musk is calling like Trump, not being grateful and stuff like that, right? So it's ongoing spat, right? And that's affected Tesla as well, because Trump has like threatened to cut government contracts with Elon companies, all right? And that's why this Tesla being like Elon Musk being the founder of Tesla, right, is affected as well. So I would say that right now, technically, right, we actually have a 1GT bearish signal, right, coming up, because we went below some of the key support levels, right over here. So let me turn on the trailing support. So you can see, right, we got a bearish signal. The trailing resistance just went down, follow. We went down and down and down. And finally, we got a bullish signal when we went above the trailing resistance. But you can see, right, finally, right, just last week, we went down below the trailing support. So not so good, because this trailing support, as I say, if you're above it, you're okay. You give it space for the stock to move higher. But if you can break down below it, then this means a bit of selling, right? So that's a little bit of a weakness right there. And also, obviously, you can see that this green 20 days moving average line that was like going up since May, now it is, I don't know, right? I mean, it seems like, it seems like it is starting to point down. Does it make sense, right? Prices is below it. I'm not too sure whether it will continue to like point down like this, but if it does, then not so good. We could really start to see a bit of weakness, especially over the past 2 days. Take a look at this, right? Over the past 2 days, well, we actually got two pretty bearish candles coming out as we attempted the 330, right? I would say a bit of a resistance, support turn resistance, right? Look at this, right? Something like what we call a shooting star with a long upper shadow right over here. So it just looks a bit more bearish for now, below $330, all right? All the way to, I don't know, maybe, some support at 280. Yeah, it seems like we have rebounded a bit on 280, but if that gives way, well, I would say next support will be all the way back to the original $220, which was pretty much where we have rebounded over here. So I think if you want to, get in. Probably don't want to rush now because it might come down a bit, then consolidate, palm down, and then consolidate. So if it goes near 220 to 240, 250, I think that could be where hopefully we get a new bullish signal, or maybe the short-term trend turning back up. I think that could guide you to maybe get in. That will be another, I would say, a better confirmation, right, to catch the reversal rather than just getting in right now when we have a bearish 1GT signal. All right, so let me pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover the next US stock.
Thanks, Joey. All right, okay, let me cover the next US stock. I think Amos is asking, can we cover Eli Lilly? So, I mean, the stock code is LLY. Okay, so right here, I think very quickly for Eli and Lilly, we see a 1GT bullish signal coming in, and you have just exited at 780, and you are actually considering to re-enter the counter. All right, so we saw that the $800 psychological level has been breached, and it is now above, or prices are now above this $800 psychological support level. Okay, so what we actually want to look out for LLY is because the longer term trend is still showing a little bit of sideways movement, a little bit of weakness, not showing much strength. Yes, for sure the nearer term trend or the nearer term momentum is present. We got prices pushing very swiftly on the 10th of June, but I think the subsequent 2 days we do not see much price movement right at this point. So I think we should expect the price to perform a little bit of a consolidation between the 800 and the 850 range at the same time. So if we turn on that trailing support and resistance right here, we can see that the trailing resistance have just started to form because we have the 1GT bullish signal just coming in 2 days ago, right around at $740. So I think Amos, if you're looking to get in, I think maybe we want to wait for a little bit of a stabilization, especially if you're trading for a longer term or you're intending to hold it for a longer term. Let's wait for that 100 days moving average to also maybe perhaps point up as well. I know this is one of our favorite stocks in 2024, but I think since the start of 2025, it's just been pretty much whipsawing between that $700 psychological level all the way up to that $925 level. So that is a larger range that could be present as well. So if a little bit of strength can continue to come back in over the next few days, maybe even next week, where we can see prices break above the 850 level, I think yes, that is when maybe we can say prices are heading towards that all-time high again, back towards, or that next target could be towards that $900 level. So I think Amos maybe want to set some alerts closer to the $800 level and another alert just above that 850 level. And at the same time, if you have access to the 1GT Lite or 1GT Pro indicator, you could also set up an alert to be alerted if there are any new 1GT signals coming in. So just like that 1GT, the condition as 1GT Pro indicator, a new buy or sell alert, right? Just create is when you can get notified if Eli Lilly shows up with another 1GT bullish or bearish signal, depending if you have gotten in at that point of time. All right, Amos. So now passing the time back to Z to just cover the next stock for you guys.
All right, thank you, Bervyn. Okay, so I think the next stock that I'll be covering will be from Hui Min, right? Hui Min is actually asking about SE, right? Is it worth keeping SE since still in the loose? Any potential price shot up in a few months? Okay, so let's take a look at SE, right? So I believe you are mentioning about still in the loose. I'm not too sure if you're asking about, maybe they are not making any revenue or things like that. I have not been looking at their books, but basically what we focus on and what we will be looking at today, right, basically will be the chart, right, because that is our forte over here. We will look at the technical analysis. How has the chart been performing over the past months? Because we believe that whatever that is happening with the company, right, it will actually be reflected in the stock price, right? Because probably people would have absorbed the news about certain companies and the price action will reflect accordingly, right? So let's take a look at SE. Okay, so SE, I'm not too sure when you have bought C Limited, right? If you have bought C Limited quite some time back, probably you already have been sitting on profits and you are thinking, whether you are should you continue to hold? But based on what we are looking at this point in time, uptrend look firmly intact, right? Uptrend definitely look firmly intact in terms of the longer term trend. Shorter term trend, if I were to zoom in a little bit, it seems like it has started to flatten out, right? It has indeed gone up since May. We have a 1 GT bullish signal, went up and started to flatten out at this point in time, right? So but overall, the entire trend for this particular counter still looks great, right? Still looks great. And in terms of the support level that we are actually looking at right now, it will be near this 150, right? Because right over here back in March, this was where we saw price went up near the 150, selling pressure came back in, right? And it went all the way back down to the $100 psychological level right over here, right? So I would say this level 150 previously was a resistance, tested here once again, so 2 times, and now it is retesting this level once more, right? So I would say 150 has turned from a resistance to become a support level, that the immediate support level that we should actually take note of, right, for C Limited. And in terms of targets wise, right, how are we actually projecting this target? So be based on, a simple projection right over here, like so, right? From here, this range that it was actually trading at, and you project it up, it will be, the next target will be at the psychological 200 level right over here. So like Hui Min, like I mentioned, I'm not too sure when you actually bought into this stock, but if you are actually sitting on profits, right, one way that you can actually make use of this thing called the trailing support and resistance function, which you have seen us turn on many times, right? This is where you can actually use this function to actually protect your profits, right, while you continue to ride the uptrend, especially so when we see that the uptrend has been firmly intact since like May, right, 2024, all the way to where we are at. Prices have been forming higher lows, and it has been finding new higher supports along the way. So what we can actually do with this trailing support and resistance function is that whenever price moves up, this trailing support will also continues to move up, because that's the reason why it's called a trailing support, right? It trails the prices as it continues to move up, and that is where we actually make use of this function to place our stop limit order slightly below the trailing support. So for example, if you've entered here, you can place your stop limit order. Let me just change this to, let's say, red dotted, so it's easier to see. Okay, so for example, let's say we have you have entered your order, you have entered your stop limit, you have entered your position somewhere here, right? And this is where you can actually trail the prices based on the trailing stop and continue to shift your stop limit order upwards, right, as the trend or as the price continues to head up. So that is where you can actually protect your profits along the way, right? So for example, here one more time, as prices move up, we continue to shift this dotted line, which is our stop limit order, upwards to actually protect our profits. Okay, so that is one way that you can actually use this trailing support function efficiently, right? Not just to see where can you potentially enter, but at the same time you can also use it to protect your profits and to protect your downside. Okay, so this would be for C Limited. These are some of the levels that you can take note, which is 150, and the next target will be 200. And there is no rush for you to actually think about selling this stock, especially so when the uptrend is still intact. And if prices were to reach the $200 psychological level, right, and it's part of your trading plan to take profits near the resistance, there is nothing wrong as well. Okay, there is nothing wrong. But otherwise, make use of the trading support function. Continue to trail your stop limit order up to actually protect your profits. Okay, that would be for C Limited. So back over to you, Joey.
All right, very good. So now we have covered a total of 18 stocks already. I think we have some time, so let's just go to do one more final round, right? One more final round. I'll go to cover one more US stock and then Bervyn and Zee. And then at the end, guys, we'll share with you guys 3 US stocks, one each, right? And 3 US stocks that we like, that you want to put in your watch list for potentially more upside. So let me go to share my screen right now. And I saw one of you asking about this stock, right? Let's see, who is it today? ST Lim. ST Lim, I hope you're still here. All right. Let's see. Hi, I'm looking for an entry level for of WMB, Williams Company. So I put out Williams Company right over here. Let's take a look at this stock right now. That's stock number 19, all right, stock number 19. So you can see, right, for Williams Company, actually it's one of the stocks that we like as well since last year, all right. Longer term trend is up. 100 days red line, 200 days blue line, both pointing up, red above the blue, very gradual, very consistent. All right, and right now, if you ask me, is the longer term trend still up? Well, I would say it is still up. It's been up since 2 years back, and it is still up after 2 years. All right. So one of the stocks that you definitely want to think about getting in, especially when you see signs of weakness, when you see like a bearish signal coming out, a bearish signal. So you might be confused. Why you see bearish signal, you want to look at it. Well, doesn't mean when you see a bearish signal means you anyhow rush to get in, but you want to just put it in your watch list because you want to wait for that bullish signal to come out, right? Because once, right, the longer term trend is up, all right, and the bullish signal comes out, all right, of course, the short term trend turn up, there we go, all right, same thing, a bullish signal, wait for it, once it comes, there we go, all right, and that's what has happened over the past 1 to 2 years, right? Every time we get a bullish signal, it starts pushing higher. So now I would say that over the past 1 over month, well, we got a new 1 GT bearish signal. I think that was on the 4th of April. So 4th April, 7th April, I think all of you know, right? Donald Trump introduced the reciprocal tariffs. We actually broke certain support, like the trailing support. All right, and that's the reason why the bearish signal came out. But you can see it came out, right? But the 20 days moving average line, was it like, pointing down like that? No, right? I mean, it was still pretty strong. In fact, going slightly up still. So I think it still looks pretty okay. If you want more confirmation, then we could wait for a new 1 GT bullish signal to come out like this, right? So we could set an alert, right click, set an alert, all right? One good trend pro. So I've not done it for this company, buy or sell alert. And once per bar, we create. So if that bullish signal comes out, I think it will come out if we can break the 62. So let me just draw it. I think right now, 62 would be what we call a very key resistance level. Look at this, right? We're right here, came down. In fact, last week also near it and then came down. I mean, not say come down a lot, but just a bit of profit taking near that 62 level. All right, so that's a resistance level. Support-wise, it used to be at $52, right? Somewhere around that 52, you could see, right over here, you can see rebound, right? Was so many bullish candlestick right over here, right? So that was a very, good support level by you could really think about getting in, right? But I'm not too sure whether it will, go back down here for you to buy and then you can go back up, right? But I think right now, 52 might be a bit too low. It seems like the support has gone up to, 56 already over the past 1 over month. All right, some buying pressure have already came out from 52, right, higher at around that 56 already. So that is pretty much kind of like the higher support level. Let me show you, right? So that's how we can tell that the stock is strong just by looking at it forming what we call higher support. So from here, it goes up to here, right? So that's a sign of strength because the support has been higher, all right? And I think the range is 56 to 62. So anything near that 56, I'm not the one, it could be 58, it could be 57, right? But anything near here, I think that could be where, if you're looking for an entry, right, could be all the way from here, 56, 57, 58, all the way to that 62. And that would be like about 9 to 10%. But the key here is that we want to wait for that break of 62 resistance. If that happens, good, I think, all right, I mean, we would get a new 1 GT bullish signal. It could be something like this, it could be something like this as well, all right, and then pump, all right. So I think if that comes, you want to be prepared. We will set our alerts, we will be alerted to it, and that's where we could potentially time our entry to get in to ride the next phase of the upside above 62, maybe all the way to 70 to 75, right? So that's what I'm looking for. Okay, so this is WMB Williams Company. All right, Bervyn, back to you.
Thanks, Joey. All right, okay. So hi, Biscuit. Hi, good morning. Hopefully you're still here. Is Uber worth keeping for a longer term? Okay, let me just throw Uber up onto the screen right here. I think for Uber, I think pretty much we have exited a phase and we are now in a new phase. Why? We actually saw that prices was pretty much kept under the $80 level since the start of the year. We have finally broke above it in the early of May and headed higher towards that $95 level, but not pretty much not able to hold at that level. And we actually see a bit of selling comeback in the last few weeks of May. And in the start of June, right, we actually see buyers actually coming in, rebounding from this $80 once again and heading towards a temporary resistance of about $88 right here, where sellers have actually come back in, I think in the last 2 or 3 days, pushing prices lower again. But as you can see right here, that 100 days and 200 days moving average still looking good at this point, still pointing up, still showing signs of a longer term uptrend forming, but that 20 days moving average showing a little bit of weakness. Like Joey have said, yes, maybe this could be an opportunity. It could be an opportunity for you to get in on those dips for a longer term trade. Okay, so we have two 1 GT bullish signals that have actually came up in April and in May, sorry, and then prices have actually pushed higher. So I think as of this point right now, if we are able to actually see prices break above the $88, perhaps another 1 GT bullish signal could show up at this point. So if you are actually holding, I know Biscuit, I'm not too sure if you are holding onto some Uber shares, you want to just take note of this $80 to $81 level, because that is right where that trailing support is currently at. So we have briefly touched it. Let me just get rid of this circle. Came close to it, almost touching it on the 3rd of June, but prices or the buyers have actually came in to protect prices and rebounded from there. So I think this level could be a potential accumulation zone for many. All right, but you want to be careful if this trailing support is actually broken, and then perhaps we have another 1 GT bearish signal right there. Then you do not want to buy already, and you should start to consider to protect some of your profits as well. So the other accumulation zone, I think, would be just right above the $88 level. A little bit more aggressive strategy, a little bit of a breakout strategy right here, where if prices break above the $88, why? Then you will see that 20 days moving average start to flatten out or even start to point up already. Then you will have more confirmations, but by then you will see your 20 days moving average already pointing up, 100 days pointing up, 200 days also pointing up, and we are above a new support level, and we could hit higher back towards that 95 or even perhaps that $100 psychological level. But in the longer term trend wise, I mean, Biscuit, that 100 days, 200 days still looking good, and perhaps I think yes, the longer term, it can be a longer term holding as long as we see further upside or a little bit of more consolidation before prices hit higher. All right, so passing now the time to Z to cover the next stock for us.
All right, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so I think the last stock that I will be covering today before we move on to the bonus stock, right, will be from Jade, right? Hello, Jade. Nice to see you here. Looking to buy MSTR, right? Okay, so let's take a look at MSTR. So for MSTR, I mean, if we take a look at the chart at this point in time, right, over the past, I think 6 to 7 months, we are actually seeing prices trading up and down within these range, right? So this range, definitely there will be a support and there will be a resistance, right? So let's take a look at that. So in terms of support, what support are we looking at? Definitely it will be around this 240, right over here, because this was where we see, from February to April, right, this was the level that it has been tested multiple times, right? This is where the buyers came in to actually support the prices right over here, right? And in terms of resistance, where are we actually looking at? We will be looking at around this 440, right? But some of you might say, hey, but then on these 2 days, price actually broke above, right? But yes, but over, I'm not too sure what actually happened on this day. I can't recall. Maybe there could be a news that actually affected the prices to surge all the way up and then came back down the next day, right? But over the next couple of days, right, and even the next months or so, right, we don't see prices actually breaking above this 440. We can see that it has tested this 440 multiple times again subsequently. And here, right over here in May, prices near this 440, and that's where selling pressure came back in. So in terms of support and resistance, horizontal support and resistance, very clearly, it will be near this 240 and the 440 for the resistance, right? So if you're thinking about buying, we will definitely look to buy near a support level, right? So near a support level, definitely it will be around this, near this 240, right? But of course, I don't know whether, prices will actually come back down to this level for you to actually buy, right? So the next thing, the next level that we can actually look at is we use the trailing support function again, once more. So right over here, if I were to turn on the trailing support function, right over here, we can see that the trailing support is somewhere near this 350, right? So yes, potentially near the 350 right over here, this is where we could potentially look at the levels, right? This is where we potentially want to set some alerts to, position ourselves for entry near the trailing support, right? But of course, that being said, because, we know that near the 440, this is where sellers could be selling to, take some profits, right? This is where profit taking can happen once again. So perhaps you might think about, your risk reward ratio as well, whether is it actually worth it to actually take this trade, right? But if you were to enter somewhere near the trailing support right over here to, the resistance, that will be about a 24%, 24% increase in price, right? If the trade actually plans out according to plan, right? If it does go sideways and it actually reached the 440 level. But of course, if it doesn't, then that's where we have to place our stop limit order to actually protect our downside. And that's where we can also use the trailing support function to place our stop limit order slightly below the trailing support right over here, right? This red line right over here. But if prices, can continue to, hold and then it break above this 440 resistance, that's where we can potentially see more upside returning back to this counter. And what upside are we looking at? I would do a simple projection right over here again, because this was the range that price was trading over the past 6 to 7 months. And if you were to do a projection upwards, the next potential upside target that potentially we could be looking at would be around these 600 and this 640, right? 640 level right over here, right? Provided if prices, firstly, it can and must be able to hold firmly above the resistance, which is 440 first, and then potentially you might see more upside back to this counter. Okay, so this would be some of the levels that perhaps, Jade, you can actually potentially take note of in terms of the potential buy zones near the support level and also the resistance zone at 440. Okay, so that would be for MSTR. So back over to you, Joey, to probably kickstart and share our bonus stock for today.
All right, thank you so much. Finally, we have kind of like covered all the US stocks that you guys are asking. So first thing first, guys, we have like more than 40, 50 over stocks that you guys placed in the chat. All right, so our apologies if we cannot cover all the US stocks, because we only can cover, each time is about like 2 hours long, about 18, 20 over stocks, right? So you can join us in the next Ask Me Any Stock. So next Friday will be on the US, next Friday, today is US. So next Friday will be Singapore, right? Next Friday will be Singapore market. Next Friday, then we'll be back to US. So you can join us again and hopefully we can try to cover your stocks. But now, let me go ahead to cover three, each of us will share one stock that we like as well, right? But before I do that, guys, do a quick coverage because I think we have like Emily, you're asking about ADBE. So that was actually covered. That was actually covered on stock number 2. So if we have covered your stocks, guys, you can watch the replay on YouTube. So make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel if you have not yet done so. Click on the like or subscribe button above, right, above this live show or somewhere, right? Subscribe so that you can watch the replay. You will not miss it. So I will just do a quick recap of all the stocks that we have covered so far, right? So we covered the markets, S&P 500 index, the Dow Jones. The first stock that I covered was C3.AI, all right? The code is AI, all right? Next, we covered Adobe, ADBE, then Robinhood, Oracle, Meta, Vista Network, NVDA, right? Very popular AI stock. Then we covered AVGO. We have Progressive Corporation, the code is PGR, and we covered Alphabet, GOOGL, Microsoft, MSFT, then we have Celsius Holdings, CELH, we have Spotify, or SPOT, we have UNH, we have AMD, Tesla, code is TSLA, we have Eli Lilly and Co, the code is LLY, C Limited, Williams Company, Uber, and finally we have MSTR, all right, MicroStrategy, all right? That was pretty much what Z has covered. So these are all the 21 stocks that you guys have asked and we have covered. Our apologies if we cannot cover all of them, but let's go ahead to move on to the stocks that has been our watch list that could potentially offer more upside, and you might want to put it in your watch list as well. All right, let's see. Victor, can I know why the 1GD Pro chart I see is always different from your presentation? I'm not too sure where you are seeing, but it is pretty much, the 1GD Pro indicator. Why is it different? Because different stock have different chart. I'm not too sure what is the question, Victor. All right, but yeah, you can drop me an email or something like that. All right, and just so I can explain a bit better. But attend one of those free webinars. As I say, guys, you're going to find out about the entire strategy, all right? Attend one of those free webinars. The link is right above in the chat already. But let's take a look at the very first stock today, and that would be Netflix. The code is NFLX. All right, Netflix. So you can see Netflix has been in my watch list since last year. Very strong longer-term uptrend. And every time we get a bearish signal, yeah, we did sell down a little bit. It could be 1 week, it could be 2 weeks. We saw the short-term trend turning down as well, right? Something like over here, right? So the short-term trend started to to turn down, right? But as I say, every time we got bullish signals coming out, right, over here, right, two bullish signals, the rally or the reversal actually happened all the way up, all the way up, all the way up. So let's take a look, right, over the past one over month. Well, we got, right, okay, one more bullish signal here. We got two bullish signals coming out. I think we broke the we broke the 1,000. So 1,000 was a very critical psychological resistance level that we broke above it, right? We got two bullish signals, and there we go, right? From 1,000 we went to 1,215. So I would say that would be about 24.7% in about one over month, right? Not too bad, but can there be more upside? I think so, right? It still looks pretty bullish because the bullish signal is still in play. I can turn on what we call the trailing support level. So you can see, right, after the first bullish signals popped out, we got this trailing support that I've turned on, which is a feature of the One Good Trend Pro indicator. Very powerful feature because it gives me an idea of, are we above the trailing support? All right, is prices moving up? And if it's moving up, is the trailing support following it as it moves up? Because this trailing support, as I say, it gives it space to breathe, to hopefully move higher. So as long as prices are above it, we are pretty much safe, right? We're pretty much safe, right? So you can see that it's been moving up, flat up, follow. And obviously we are still kind of like above this trailing support, which is at about 1160, 1165, right around here. I mean, in fact, you can see that that is also what we call a little bit of a resistance level. Previously, it was a resistance pump, right? And resistance turns support. So the support would be somewhere around 1165, 1160, where the trailing support is as well. So I would say that that is pretty much where some bargain hunting is really starting to happen on dips. You can think about getting in near there, all right, all the way, I would say, to resistance at 1,260. So that was where we saw a bit of profit taking last week, came back down. So I think it's pretty much just consolidating, but you could see that the green 20 days moving average line is still sloping upwards firmly. All right, so pretty strong. Of course, if it starts to flatten out, that means we are in a bit of a sideways consolidation in the short term, but so far still slightly sloping up. So I think still okay. Longer term trend, the red and blue, they are quite easy to see. It's up. Don't know since when, really, like 2 years ago, it's up already. So I think this stock still looks pretty good. One of the strong long-term uptrending stocks that we have been watch this for quite a while now, and you want to put it in your watch list as well for potentially more upside, maybe above 1,003. If it breaks that, targets could be revised even higher. All right, so that is the bonus stock from me. Let me pass on the mic to Bervyn to share with you guys his bonus stock that he liked.
Thanks, Joey. All right, okay, so that was Joey's bonus stock Netflix. So just let me share my bonus stock right here. So I think if you guys have been following us for the past few AMAS sessions, you have known by now that one of my favorite stocks, I think this year would be Visa. I think the stock code is V, and I think here is why I just wanted to cover it again today, is because after being kept under that $370 resistance, we have finally broke above it on Wednesday, where prices had broken above that 370, pushed a little bit higher, and for the past 2 days have pretty much held above it. All right, so if you are looking or still looking to get in on Visa, this would actually be a new phase, a more aggressive phase as well, because prices have broken above a key resistance. It is considered like a breakout strategy. I think that target upside towards that $400 or $400 psychological level is still pretty much intact. And we are starting to see a little bit, maybe we can start to see a little bit more momentum coming in if that prices continue to hold above that 370 maybe for a few days. But trend wise, I think that short-term trend looking very good right now, still pointing up. Longer term trend definitely still looking quite good at this point. We have one GT bullish signal that has been playing out since early May right here, and perhaps if we are able to break above that $400 level, could have another 1 GT bullish signal coming in. But as of right now, I think for those of you who have gotten in previously already, very good. I think right now you could use that trailing support as a stop limit order, or just placing a stop limit order just below that trailing support, maybe 2 to 3%, to continue to ride that uptrend or to continue to ride that upward phase, because right now it still seems like the prices are still looking very, very good, or we are still in a entry zone as well, where we could potentially see some buyers coming in to try to push prices even higher. So I think for now, I think Visa should still remain on your watch list. I think it will still remain on our team watch list for now, unless we see a reversal of trend. But right now, no indication of that just yet. All right, so that is my bonus stock, Visa. Very quick coverage of it, just following up from the last session. May I pass the time now to Z to cover her bonus stock for you?
All right, thank you, Bervyn. Okay, so last but not least, let's cover the last bonus stock for today. And for me, my bonus stock that I want to share with you guys today would be, again, the same one, which is Quest Diagnostic. If you guys have been coming around this AMS, you would have probably known about or hear about this stock, right, which is in the healthcare sector. And what we can see over here, based on the chart, is that the uptrend is pretty much firmly intact, right, since last year, May, when we get a confirmation of, the red and the blue line, the longer term trend has also started to point up, right? And it is quite I would say it's quite a classical uptrend, like kind of the textbook uptrend move, right? If I were to just highlight to you guys, like right over here, we can see that it goes sideways, up, sideways, up, sideways, up, sideways, up, and now it's doing this, right? So I would say the uptrend definitely is still firmly intact, right? But what we are actually looking out for is, for more confirmations, right, that we want to make sure that the uptrend is able to sustain, right? Is able to sustain. And one thing right over here, as you can see, all these lines have been drawn previously, right? And we can see that price for this particular counter has also been finding higher supports along the way. So when that actually happens, it means that there is buyers willing to come in to buy at higher prices, right? Every time it breaks a resistance, it turns into a new support. It breaks into a resistance, it turns into a new support. The higher the support we get, it means that more buying pressure are willing to buy at higher prices, right? And right now, in terms of the support and the resistance, where are we looking at? Okay, what are we looking at? So in terms of the resistance, very clearly we have a very strong resistance right over here, right, at 180, because this was where you see prices near this level. This is where selling pressure came back in, right? It neared it. Selling pressure came back in. We see a long upper shadow. This is where, again in April, right? And then in May, one more time. And right now, we are right over here, and price is actually testing the 180 level once again, because we actually covered this stock. I think the first time we covered this stock as our bonus stock was somewhere in February. So if you have gotten in near the support, right, and right over here we are actually near a resistance. So if you're already sitting on profits and you're thinking of taking some profits, right, putting it in your pocket first, it is also absolutely fine to take some profits near the resistance at 180 right over here, right? And the thing is that for this particular counter right now, what we are actually monitoring is for prices to actually being able to break and hold above these 180, right? That will be a key, right? If prices actually break and hold above this 180, potential upside that we are looking at will be around 195, right? How did we actually did this? It is based on the projection again from the range that it was actually trading at upwards, and it will be about 180, right, for the next potential upside target. Right now, I mean, we do see 2-1 GT bullish signal right over here. There is no exit signal yet. The short-term moving average, as you can see right over here, has also started to point back up. Longer-term trend is still heading up, and right now it is testing a resistance. So all these signs are pointing to quite I would say, a bullish situation at this point in time, right? So what I want to monitor definitely will be prices being able to break and hold above the 180 level for more potential upside back to this counter towards the 195 next target. Okay, so that would be for DGX. I hope if you guys like this stock, you can also continue to put it in your watch list, because it will definitely be in ours. And I think that's it for me. I will pass the time back to Joey to actually perhaps close off today's session.
All right, thank you so much, guys. So yes, we have covered, all right, almost like I would say 21 stocks. We've covered 3 new US stocks, right? 3 bonus stocks that you want to put in your watch list for potentially even more upside. So how many of you have got like value? How many of you got value in today's session? This type of V, guys, for value. If you have actually got some value, hopefully we have covered your stock as well. Let me just go acknowledge all of you for still being over here today. Let me see who is still here. and you got value, right? Emily, we looked through your video. All right, thank you so much. Yeah, so Emily, I think we have covered ADBE. All right, check it out. Value as well. Philip, value. Awesome, guys. So that's the whole point of this Friday weekly AMAS. It's not really about us, but about you, all right, covering your stocks, of course, adding more value by sharing the stocks that we like as well. Value, Wilson, Evelyn, Fiona, Jimson, Victor, Sim, awesome, right? So thank you so much. So I think we have come to the end, all right, and I want to share with you guys a little bit more as well as to, if you want to get some of our top ideas. So I think some of you might be clients of ours in Philip Securities, where I'm a broker. So if you are kind of like trading, I mean, you need a trading account, but if you don't get any ideas, or service from your own broker, check it out. I'll just place the link in the chat, right? So team, just place the link in the chat. Find out as to how you can come on board as a client of mine in Philip Securities, right? For free. And this is where we actually share some of those top ideas by WhatsApp daily, right? For free, right? You do not pay anything more, right? You do not pay anything more. Let me know how many of you are actually clients of mine in Philip Securities. Just type a C, guys. Type a C for client. If you are actually a client of mine already in Philip Securities, you have a trading account under me and my team, let me know. Just type a C in the chat. I think some of you should be clients of us, or maybe you might be just scrolling through YouTube and Facebook. All right, let's see who is a client already of us in joining us today. So quite a couple of clients over here. Philip, Victor, thank you so much, Victor. Thanks for the support, Fiona, as well. Dave, thanks for the support as well. So a couple of clients over here, right, joining us every Friday as well, adding value to clients. So those of you who are not yet a client of ours, check it out. The link is right in the chat. All right, find out how you can get some of my top ideas by WhatsApp live daily for free. All right, and of course you get support by WhatsApp so much faster, right? Especially if you don't get any service from your own broker, right? Nobody contact you, nobody send you any ideas or videos or training, or you don't even know who is the person, right? It's just like a hotline or something like that, right? Check it out. The link is right in the chat. All right, okay, so that's it, guys. I think we've pretty much come to the end of today's live show. All right, look forward to share with you guys a bit more in a free webinar. As I mentioned, the link is right above. Check it out. Attend a free webinar to find out a bit more on the entire One Good Trend strategy. And the next live show next Friday will be on the Singapore market. The link is in the chat as well. So make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and join us live. Again, when we go live, that's where we can cover your Singapore stocks next Friday. All right, so Joey here. Thank you so much. Signing off. Bye-bye. See you guys next Friday.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye.